Here's a look at where markets ended the week. Optimistic we're going to see a rate cut next week after we got the key jobs report for August, the first one since President Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics last month over questions over the accuracy of the data. The report showing much fewer jobs added in August than expected, only 22,000 versus the estimate of 75,000, and the unemployment rate now at its highest level since October of 2021. We also got revisions showing 21,000 fewer jobs created in June and July than previously reported. For more on this and what it means for the Fed's next move, I'm joined by Committee to Unleash Prosperity co-founder Steve Moore. Steve, it's great to see you. Talk to me about your thoughts on this jobs report. Pretty big miss on the estimate.
Well, it sure was. But, you know, it's interesting. I think one of the takeaways from this report is how increasingly unreliable these jobs numbers are. And, you know, we talk, you and I and Maria talk about this every first Friday of every month. And we're seeing these gyrations in the numbers. And also, one of the things that hasn't been really widely reported is that there's two surveys. One survey had a big increase in jobs by, I don't remember the exact number, close to 300,000, whereas the one that's reported, the headline number was, what, 28,000. So we need to clean up these numbers, Cheryl, because we make so many economic decisions based on these jobs numbers. And I've been doing this for 35 years. I think, look at the re-estimates. They keep changing the numbers every month.
But I want to ask you something about the government jobs number, because we saw a loss of 16,000 jobs. And, you know, my question originally, about when the numbers were coming out was, why are we not seeing that government job number bigger? A bigger loss because of DOGE. Someone made the point to me that between October and December of this year, you're going to see 100,000 jobs eliminated in the government number, because that's when federal employees who accepted the deferred resignation program actually, are going to resign, and then they become part of the unemployment picture.
Well, it's a good question you're asking, because remember when we were talking about the jobs numbers under Biden, remember, Cheryl, we always talked about how big the government increase numbers were. And sometimes the government job numbers were bigger than the private sector job numbers in terms of the increase. Trump is doing a good job at reducing the federal workforce, which is essentially, by my estimates, we've reduced that number of federal employees over the past 7 months or so by 250 to 300,000 people. That's a big number, and that is what I call draining the swamp. It is eliminating so many of these extra government workers, and it's a good thing when we reduce the size of government. We want private sector jobs, not more Americans employed by the public sector.
98% chance that we're going to see a quarter point for the September meeting. What about a half a point?
I kind of doubt it, but I'm not a great predictor of what the Fed is going to do. But I want to just make sure that people understand this is a healthy economy. This is a very healthy economy. We got the big, beautiful tax bill done. We're seeing by as much as $1 trillion in savings and deregulations. Cheryl, we're producing more oil and gas than any other time in American history, thanks to Trump's drill, baby, drill. We're reducing the size of government. I'm with Trump. I think I'm super bullish on the direction of the American economy, especially, Cheryl, when you take into account the fact that Trump is getting these commitments for hundreds of billions. He says trillions, but I think it's probably closer to hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of new investment coming to the United States. Those are all very positive signs.
Yeah. Well, we saw trade uncertainty in the jobs report, Steve, and President Trump warning that deals are at risk as key parts of the tariff agenda are now going to go before the Supreme Court. Watch this.
These deals are all done. I guess we'd have to unwind them. People respect America again, and we've become a rich country again. The money coming in is incredible. And again, they use them on us. If we didn't have them, they would use them on us, and we would have no way to fight them. We would be a third world nation. So I think it's one of the most important cases I've ever seen go before the Supreme Court.
The White House saying the stakes could not be higher. We've brought in $183 billion in tariff revenue. So what happens if the Supreme Court rules against the president, Steve?
Boy, this is a tough one, and I think Trump is exactly right. This is going to be a momentous Supreme Court decision. The Constitution does say that all taxes start in the House of Representatives, and tariffs are taxes. The question is whether the president can use his emergency power, Cheryl, to have these tariffs. I don't know how the Supreme Court is going to rule. I don't know how, if anyone really knows. But I think that if Trump loses in this case, then you're basically starting over. Then will these countries keep these commitments that they've made? So it'll cause a lot of havoc if Trump loses, but I think it's a flip of a coin whether he's going to win or lose in the Supreme Court.
And we're not going to know until the spring. The administration responded, but we're not going to have an answer until after New Year's. So I agree with you. This could be.
And by the way, that's terrible. Why should the Supreme Court wait so long? Given the importance of this decision to our economy, why can't the court convene and make a ruling on this? Because you're right, the longer they wait, the more uncertainty there is in the economy.
Yeah, agreed. All right, Steve Moore, it's great to always see you, and thank you so much for weighing in.
Thank you, Cheryl.